Okay, Christina here to listen to some music. And today we continue on with our full album listening of Asia by Steely Dan. This is track number 3, Deacon Blues. So if you haven't already seen the previous 2 tracks, that would be track number 1, Black Cow, track number 2, Asia. How the full albums work here is that I don't listen from start to finish all the way in one sitting. I do it 1 track at a time, but I do it really close together. So like 1 or 2 days in between each track. And then in between those tracks, I go back and listen to the one I just heard, plus all the ones before it. And so I really let the album soak in. And if some of the tracks seem to be missing from the playlist here on YouTube, that is because I don't have room in my posting schedule to release all of the tracks publicly. So some of them are going to be on Patreon or for channel members. But I try to release the most popular ones that everybody would like publicly. I actually also put up a poll on Patreon and for channel members for Steely Dan songs. And I believe I did the first place. That was Do It Again. And then Asia and Deacon Blues tied for second place. But it was after that that I decided to do the full album. So here we are. I just did Asia. Now I'm going to do Deacon Blues. This is both the full album and the poll winner all at the same time. Kind of fun. So what exactly is the purpose for these polls? Like, what are we doing in listening to these full albums? I am a professional, classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and professor. So we dive into all of the little details of the music in these tracks, how they're composed, the instrumentation, the form and analysis, maybe some chords, and some instrument demos. So we really see how we relate to this music. Why do we like it so much? Or maybe why do we not like it so much? Okay, so enough talking about listening to the music. No more delay. Let's listen. Ooh, okay. I am ready for this next track. Here we go. Track number 3.
This is the day of the expanding man. That shape is my shade. There where I used to stand. It seems like only yesterday I gazed through the glass at ramblers, wild gamblers. That's all in the past. You call me a fool. You say it's a crazy scheme. This one's for real. I already bought the dream. So useless to ask me why. Throw a kiss and say goodbye. I'll make it this time. I'm ready to cross that fine line. Learn to work the saxophone.
Okay, we're into a chorus, obviously. Well, this track is a lot more straightforward than the previous 2. No, I think that is what is needed in the album. That totally makes sense. Because with track number 1, with Black Cow, it was... Well, first of all, it was an awesome opener to the album, but it was like super jazzy and smooth and then the sparseness, but then the second track, a masterpiece. So yeah, this makes sense. Still don't know what it means yet, but that's okay, we'll get there. I'll check the lyrics later. But for now, I'm really connecting with the aesthetic of this band. It's starting to become really familiar to me. And ooh, isn't that the fun of getting to know a new band? Well, new to you, you know. Okay, so let's just keep going. Back it up a little bit to catch the beginning of this chorus. I heard something about a saxophone.
I'm ready to cross that fine line. Learn to work the saxophone. I play just what I feel. Drink scotch whiskey all night long. And die behind the wheel. They got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the
mentioned the saxophone there in the chorus. Great. Okay. So I am really catching on to more of the words this time. A lot of you know, I've mentioned it before, that I tend to hear the music first and the lyrics second. It's just the way my brain works. So I do always try to go back and work the lyrics in and really appreciate them. So we will do that. But honestly, I think I'm catching on to a lot of this. Is it about gambling? I hear something about that he goes out when the sun goes down, and the game, and having a drink, and the women, and maybe the excitement. But I don't know. There seems to be sort of a hint of regret, maybe? But they ask something about the name. They need a name, either for themselves or for their lifestyle. And I heard something about, they call Alabama the Crimson Tide. And so Deacon Blues. So is it literally talking about this lifestyle? Maybe it could be applied to any lifestyle. And so what's the blues? See, there's someone singing the blues, you know? But this isn't bluesy. This is jazzy. And it's a little popish. I think that's the straightforward aspect of this. But we're definitely talking about someone that's blue. Like happy, but not completely fulfilled. Or fulfilled just kind of on the surface. They need something a little deeper than that. I don't know. Speculation. And again, I can speculate on that right now because the words are coming through to me more. And that is because we have the steady drum beat. Like I'm actually sort of conducting this in my head, and this nice steady 4/4 has a couple of almost fermata, which just means to hold, moments at some of the ends of the cadences, but I really just am getting to know this band. I really get their aesthetic. And I also really like the mixing. So the brass, which I love the use of the brass in this, it's really distant. But then at the same time, the lead singer is just so smooth, and he almost kind of deepens his voice, almost swallows the tone. So it sort of swoops down here, and then it comes back up here to that almost swallowed nasally sound. To me, that's like another brass instrument. So I am also getting to know the band members. So that's Fagan singing, yes? And I also know that Becker is the other main musician here, but then they brought in a lot of other musicians, like studio session musicians for some of these. So for instance, I know that Gad was the drummer for Asia, and he is not the drummer here. And I can tell. Not just because it's straightforward. I don't know, I can just tell. But this aesthetic, it's working its magic. Let's continue on. Again, back it up to hear this chorus again. We're not even halfway through. What in the world is going to happen? I mean, we just had an 8-minute long masterpiece, prog masterpiece here for track number 2. What the heck is this? This was supposed to be the straightforward one. Alrighty, here we go.
I'll make it my home, sweet home. Learn to work the saxophone. I play just what I feel. Drink Scotch whiskey all night long. And I behind the wheel. They got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose.
was wondering when that cadence was going to happen. There was this chord progression and it just kept going and goes like, okay, now, okay, no, okay, now, no. Not that I minded. These chord progressions, there's just something about the way they turn, as in where they go stepwise, like that's like half step or whole step. So in a scale, you can go up a step or down a step. So stepwise, like da-dum, ba-dum, like that. Just where it goes, it sort of wiggles in and out of predictability, and it's just enough to keep it exciting. Like some music goes to places in the keys, the modulations or the chord progressions, that's more uncomfortable. This is just pushing the boundaries of discomfort. And that really is part of the magic for this particular group, the way they use the chord progressions and how they sometimes either sneak up on you with the cadences, which is kind of where the chord progression ends, or they delay it. I also love how they use all the seventh chords. That's also what adds a little bit of color and magic to it. But lots of groups have used interesting chord progressions and seventh chords like this. So why is this group any more special? Well, it has to do with the overall aesthetic. The lead singer, the placement of the instruments. So again, the brass in this is really in the background and distant, and yet it all comes together and is somehow magical in the end, with an overall sound that we come to know and love. So I loved how the brass came forward. We had the little instrumental moment in the middle here. It wasn't quite as long as I was expecting, so maybe some of that will come back. But it was such a stark difference that it really made these two sections stand out from one another. So I'm just going to call it like section A and then section B, even though section A is technically the verse, chorus thing, and then section B is technically the instrumental solo section. But again, it was shorter than I was expecting, which means then the verse chorus is coming back. So is it going to be A, B, A, B, or A, B, A, C? And so the last bit is when all of it comes together. I love how they end their songs. The fade out in track 1 was really fun with Black Cow. And don't even get me started with the end of Asia. Y'all, if you know, you know. So are we in for more aliens landing at the end of this one? Maybe not. But you never know. But I do like how the chorus keeps mentioning the saxophone. And then when the brass came out in the instrumental section, the saxophone had to be the soloist, right? Had to be. So again, I really like how straightforward this one is. We need a little bit of that stability every now and then. Okay, so let's keep going.
This is the night of the expanding man. I take one last drag as I approach the stand. I cried when I wrote this song. Sue me if I play too long. This brother is free. I be what I want to be. I learned to work the saxophone. I play just what I feel. Drink Scotch whiskey all night long. And guy behind the wheel, they got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues, Deacon Blues.
Okay, we're headed into the final lap here. So that was just a straight up repeat of the A section, and including a lot of the words. At least I think the opening line in the lyrics was the same. But of course, then that really fun chorus. I catch more of it each time. And so I thought I heard something about a game being mentioned earlier, but then the word play, that's about the saxophone, that he's playing how he feels. He's playing the blues. That is really something, because I do really think that Fagen's voice is somehow really similar to a saxophone, not with the tone of it, but in how he uses it. A saxophone reacts so delicately to the use of the breath. So you can really belt it out, but then you can take it down really, really far. There's just a lot of flexibility in playing the saxophone. And he seems to kind of use his voice in the same way. Well, I'll have to go back and find a couple of examples of that. But, so we've got A, B, A, but again, this last section, is it going to be C? I want to hear one last hurrah from all of the voices. All right, let's back it up and hear it on out. All right, we have another fun fade out there. So that last section, it wasn't a big coda where everything came back in, like including the vocals, and it was more subdued than that. It was almost like, and this is not a negative thing, but it was almost like a karaoke version where it was just the accompaniment kind of happening over and over again. And you're like, where's the melody? Well, then we did hear the saxophone come back in, but it wasn't so far forward and present this time. So then the point is continuing on with the lifestyle, day after day, like the hum of life in the background of each day. That's what it felt like it represented to me. But the cool thing is that it's an interesting life that's moving on here. I didn't get tired of it. In fact, when it started to fade out, I was like, aw. So I did hear just a couple of little hints of the experimentation with some of the sounds in the background that I heard, especially in Asia. Like at the end, that little sound, like the water falling sound. I heard little noises in the background. And I think it was just like guitar noises, but is it the kind of guitar noise that is just naturally occurring because someone is just playing the chords? Or are they actually doing something that's interesting? Like adding those little weird pinpoint sort of noises. Regardless, whatever that was, it was really, really barely there. And maybe I'm just only able to hear it because, headphones here. But it was almost like a highlight for the accompaniment. I like that idea. So fly on the wall moment, wouldn't it be fun to know exactly how that came about when they were in the studio recording? Did they record that at the end thinking they were going to put more solo stuff over the top? Or were they like, no, we want to hear this riff. We want to put the riff, the background, in the spotlight. And so, of course, we also heard all the brass chords coming back in. In fact, I like how they brought that back in right away in the return of the A section. Because in the first A section, it wasn't there at the beginning, and then they brought it in. I remember that moment. It was a good moment. I was like, brass chords. And they're so distant, right? Interesting. So when they returned here, we were ready for it. But then in this last section, right at the end, I swear I heard a flute. So let me know if I'm right about that. It could have just been another instrument sounding a certain way, but I was like, maybe it's not just brass. Have a little woodwind action in there. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at a couple of things. I sort of already mentioned a lot of it, but let's hear some examples. So for instance, the opening. So we've got this A section, and I think in the opening A section, it's twice as long as the second A section. But that's pretty typical. Like in symphony writing, you want to have the material return, but unless you actually put a repeat, which means you go back to the beginning or back to a certain spot, you don't want to overstate it. It'd be too long. So let's hear how it sounded at the beginning and then see where the brass gets added in and hear how special that is. See, just that. How it climbs up in 3 steps. Now let's go back and hear that. So I'm not going to do a formal chord analysis with this. This would be another option for a good deep dive later on, or actually have the score up in front of me. And I can go through and actually look at each individual chord change. But for now, we can just see how it moves in general. So we have sort of one little thing established here, and then it does it again, and then it does it again. But in each one, it's moving stepwise. So let's see if we can catch that. Ending with that little 7th jazzy chord there at the end. So there's stability in there, but then it's also climbing. So it's setting up the story. If it were narration, it would be like, in this year, in this town, this person is sitting here. Why is he sitting here? Let's find out. That's kind of what that whole intro is for. All right, so now let's get into the main verse.
This is the day of the expanding man. That shape is my shade. There where I use.
So it's still already thick in texture. Love all those little ornamentations that go up at the end. Okay. See, gamblers, yeah. So that little guitar, da, 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 that right there is almost alluding to the blues already. And so this story is not necessarily a happy story. It's more a little bit of a struggle. You win some, you lose some. Maybe we should just own when we lose and we're not perfect, right? Because you don't have to be perfect. It's the motto of the channel. Just be okay. But yeah, Fagen's voice is really in the spotlight here. So now let's hear how they add more magic. It's already pretty magical. All the different instruments in the background.
It's all in the past. You call me a fool. You say
The brass.
it's a crazy scheme.
And it's all really close together. You don't hear really high voices or really low voices. It's like almost like 40s music, like Glenn Miller kind of harmonies.
You ask me why. Throw a kiss and say goodbye. I'll make it this time. I'm ready to cross that fine line. Learn to work.
Okay, excellent verse. And now we have the chorus with the backup singers in there. And again, I love how he brings up the saxophone, because I still think that his voice is kind of like a human version of a saxophone. And again, it's not the sound so much as it is the usage. So it's funny to me to hear him saying saxophone, the whole chorus coming in with the word saxophone. I was like, oh, let's hear it.
The saxophone. I play just
It's a fun word to sing, saxophone.
drink Scotch whiskey all night long. And I behind the wheel. They got a name for the winners in the
The
world.
brass brought in just at the right
I
time.
want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide.
I love that line.
Call me Deacon Blues.
Excellent catchphrase. That is an excellent title line for a song. And the little space, they call me, that's excellent. Okay, so now let's go to the other A section and see then, you can see right away they bring in the brass. Is it the same sound? Is it the same thickness and mixture here?
This is the night of the expanding man.
It's pretty much the same. That octave thing, that's something new.
As I approach the stand,
Love the trumpet.
I
Ba-dum, ba, ba, ba.
wrote this song. Sue me if I play too long.
Singing the blues.
This brother is free.
More guitar action.
Be what I want to be. I learned to work the saxophone.
Yeah. And then you're choo, 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 choo. I like how they do that. That's happened in almost every track so far here where all of a sudden there's the hi-hat moment. So I'm actually going to be looking for that in tracks yet to come here. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. But it's kind of fun to catch on to little things like that in the aesthetic of a group. So yeah, I think it's basically the same. The two A sections and some of the ornamentation and bringing out of different voices is what makes it different. Okay, so let's go to the instrumental section. And it's funny because normally that would be like instrument solo section, but I think it can stand on its own as section B.
On a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues. Deacon Blues.
Little stepwise motif there. Okay. There we go. So first the brass came out of the woodwork, but then this. Playing the saxophone blues. I'm gonna get a tear. Maybe we don't need it if we're playing the blues here, right? That little da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, that little line right there with the brass was almost extra playful. Like, na-na-na-na boo-boo, like almost kind of like, don't take yourself so seriously. Let's hear that again. I want to hear it again. It was really cute. I like that. Do I hear a flute in there? I think I do. It could just be the brass, really well blended. Oh, love that chord progression right there. Oh, so good. So good. Oh. Oh.
This is the night.
Oh, excellent finale for the B section. If I do the chord analysis of this, that's right where I'm headed. That one little section, that was awesome. And then we go right into the A section. And again, we're taken right back to how we felt at the beginning of the song. So now let's go to the ending.
All the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues. Deacon Blues.
I love how how the backup singers send it off, right? Oh. Okay. Now what? Oh. Da 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 da. Love it. Yeah. I keep expecting there to be a soloist here. And there almost is the saxophone. There we go. But it's in the distance. It's an echo. We're not that important. Don't take ourselves so seriously. Just live your life, right? The soloist can be in the distance too. Let the little things in life come forward, right? The accompaniment in life. And now we're just playing the day away. Go on playing the blues. Love it. Okay, and then nice long fade out. And you once again also feel that you wish you could keep listening. Like they just keep going and you're hanging on to every last little morsel, every little note that keeps happening there because you want to hear more. All right, well, that was really clever. Still straightforward, but at the same time clever. I do want to just check the lyrics. I said I was going to do that even though I think I caught most of them. I just want to make sure. This is the day of the expanding man. That shape is my shade. There where I used to stand, it seems like only yesterday. I gazed through the glass at ramblers, wild gamblers. That's all in the past. Okay, so someone is reflecting on a lifestyle they used to live, or maybe they're still in it, but they've just been stuck in it for a long time. So if this is in the past, is that why the saxophone was echoey there at the end? You call me a fool, you say it's a crazy scheme. This one's for real, I already bought the dream. So useless to ask me why, throw a kiss and say goodbye. I'll make it this time? So is this like get rich quick schemes, or are they trying to better themselves? Learn to work the saxophone. I play just what I feel. Drink scotch whiskey all night long. And die behind the wheel. That's not good. Okay, but I love this. I really do. They got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues. I love that. Okay, so let me just glance through some more. My back to the wall, a victim of laughing chance. This is for me the essence of true romance. Sharing the things we know and love with those of my kind. I crawl like a viper through these suburban streets. Okay, and then more chorus, and then the opening line, right? That's the same, right? This is the night of the expanding man. So it starts out with day, and now it's night. I cried when I wrote this song. Sue me if I play too long. This brother is free. I'll be what I want to be. Okay. So first of all, what are some of the names of the winners? Well, for me and this channel, that's the okay part. Okay, Christina listens. And I say you don't have to be perfect, just be okay. Being okay has two meanings. It can be like okay on the winner's side, like that's okay. Or it can be like okay, kind of on the losing side. And it's okay to be either. So my opinion is that you can actually use the same name for winners and losers. Why not? Because it's okay to be okay. Okay, that was track number 3, Deacon Blues. I think it filled the puzzle piece that I was expecting next in line for the album. Makes total sense. But it wasn't just like a throwaway, simplistic kind of straightforward song. It was still complicated. It was still really creative. It was almost as long as Asia. This is almost 8 minutes long. I think that's pretty brave to be like, all right, let's do a more straightforward song for the next track, but let's fill it to the brim. And this is the whole first side. All of side 1, it was the first 3 tracks. So now we need to take, well, for my generation, take the tape out and flip it around, And so side 2, I believe what's next, track 4 is Peg. And then track 5 is Home at Last. And I've mentioned this in the 2 previous reactions, but I actually did Home at Last. I did it like a month or 2 ago. It was a direct request here on the channel. And that kind of thing is totally okay, because if I happen to have done one track out of a full album that I'm going to dive into on the channel, I just work it back in, and it's been a while. So it's going to be really fun when after track 4, I get to bring in good old track 5, Home at Last, and review it and kind of relive it and see how it's in the order of the rest of the album, and then see where we go next. So thank you for coming along with me for these first 3 tracks at least. We're having a great time so far. And of course, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just be okay. Be a winner or a loser. Go ahead and sing the blues. And keep listening.